So the plan was to come back for the game against Liverpool and then probably the game against Fulham or something like that. And then we got to the FA Cup quarter-final. Hello there and welcome to episode 5 of Let's Go Villa. I'm Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video where we've got a big game in the FA Cup in the quarter-final against Chelsea, and then we'll play another team. I don't know, I haven't decided on that yet. If that all sounds like good fun to you, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any lovely FM content from moi. As I mentioned, we're in the FA Cup quarter-final, but before that, let's talk about the league. We're hanging in there. We are hanging in there. Results have been a bit up and down, but we are hanging in there. You can see the table there. We're currently in 5th on 54 points, just ahead of Spurs. We're level on games with all of the teams around us as well. Ahead of teams like Man United and Arsenal, which is absolutely maddening to me. We have a quick nose at the schedule. You can see how the form has been. It has been up and down. We have committed to the 4-2-3-1, and it's one of them. It's worked against teams you'd expect it to work against. Against a team like Man United, we looked a little bit outclassed, but we absolutely dominated Nottingham and West Ham. I say dominated, actually. They were close-ish games. I think the Nottingham Forest game was a little bit more in our favour, but the game against West Ham was a bit of a close one. In the 5th round of the FA Cup, actually, you guys saw the 2-1 loss against West Ham. So we did get through the next game against them to set up the game against Chelsea. The original plan for this episode, of course, was going to be we were going to play Liverpool. That game was going to be next, but because of the FA Cup, it's been moved all the way down here. So I think what we're going to do is we'll do the Chelsea game and then we'll do the Fulham game or something like that. That sounds like a plan to me. But yeah, as you can see, wins and losses, no real draws, which compared to this stretch here is madness. But it's good to see that we are playing well against some of the teams you'd expect us to play better against, whereas up here, Crystal Palace and West Ham, we just really, really struggled. But we were still getting used to the system, so I do think that has got something to do with it. But the task at hand, Chelsea. What could possibly go wrong? This is the 11 we're going to be using to play against Chelsea. It is going to be Martinez in goal, Young, Konsa, Mings and Digne in defence. Coutinho and Luiz in midfield with Parma, Buendia and Bailey supporting Watkins up front. Injury-wise, we did have a bit of an issue, but it has mostly resolved itself. Jeremy Boga is currently out, as is Boubacar Kamara. That one's a bit of a problem because Sander Berge is cup-tied because he'd already played in the FA Cup before we signed him. So that is a bit of an issue that we will have to contend with. Jeremy Boga is just coming back from an injury. Matty Cash has returned. Danny Ings has returned. Augustinson had a bit of a knock. Callum Chambers has still got a bit of a knock. We're dealing with a few things. As a result of that, Douglas Luiz is going to be the most defensively minded midfielder. We are partnering him with Coutinho in the midfield. Again, if you saw the Parma save, you will know we used him to good effect there. He played there in the last game. He looked pretty good. We're going to be using him. John McGinn. He's shown glimpses, but he's still not right. So I'm hoping maybe he'll kick on next season. If we get an offer in for him, though, all bets are off. But let's get into the game against Chelsea and let's see whether we can get to an FA Cup semi-final. Let's go. While it is different, it is worth pointing out that in the West Ham United save, we did win a trophy in our first season in that one. It was the Europa League, so it is very My word. Not even a minute into the game. Douglas Luiz, take a bow. I have seen him score screamers like that in FM21 when I used Villa there, and he scored a couple of screamers. That is utterly ridiculous. Douglas, calm yourself down, man. What a strike. What an absolute strike. They're going to go and equalise now, but what a strike. All that's taken me off my train of thought. We're leading in the game. It is worth pointing out that we did pretty much dominate Chelsea in the game that we played against them earlier in the league season, so it's not out of the question that we beat them because they have had a shocking year. They've gone through 2 managers already. There's talk of Diego Simeone, who's currently their manager, getting sacked. Wouldn't surprise me if we beat them today, whether that happens, and Chelsea become the new trigger-happy. Well, they're already a bit trigger-happy in real life, but they'd be even more trigger-happy than they are. But like Watford. No offence, Watford fans, but you know what I mean. Yeah, my point was going to be that West Ham United, when we played with them earlier in the year, our first save on FM22, we're going to score again. We've scored again. Leon Bailey's just scored. It's 2-0 inside 6 minutes. We're ripping them apart. We're actually ripping them apart. Oh, this is beautiful. Buendia gets the ball from the wing. He goes out wide. Again, I like him in the middle because he has the option to go out wide, but he is effective in the middle as well. Whips it in beautifully. And Leon Bailey is there, cutting inside. And that is wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And it is 2-0. I'm never going to finish this point. We won the Europa League. in our first season with West Ham United. Now, we're not in the Europa League. However, it would be another first season trophy. We did technically win a first season trophy with Parma as well. We won Serie B. Buendia's whipping it in. Konsa, Watkins. It bobbles about in the area and it's cleared out. Watkins really should have made that 3. Didn't. Bit of a concern. Yeah. With Parma, we won Serie B. It's up to you whether you class that as a trophy. I do. I was very proud of it. We won it unbeaten as well. So it would be a bit of a trend for us to win a trophy in our first season. I'm not expecting it at all, quite frankly. If we do, it's ridiculous. But it'd be quite cool to do it, I think. Quite cool indeed. Palmer loses out to Mason Mount there, and Conte now driving forward. Gets it out to Pulisic, who's going to look to try and whip the ball in. He does. Raheem Sterling's in the middle, but he's not going to win a header against any of our central defenders. And Coutinho now leading the counter-attack. Goes back to Ashley Young, which is probably a smart move. Lets us regroup. Does let them regroup as well, but lets us get into positions where we can start to maybe try and pick them apart again. Konsa goes all the way back to Martinez, who gets it up to Digne. Digne now looking for options, looking for ways forward. Looking for that right pass. Gets it through to Ollie Watkins. He gets the right pass. And Watkins does make it 3. And we are ripping them apart. I can't remember what the score was in the last game we played against Chelsea. But it felt very similar to this. Probably not quite as extreme. But my word, we are absolutely ripping them a new one. Who's the manager? Is it still Simeone? I'm trying to click on him. Yes, it is. It's Diego Simeone still. So he hasn't been fired yet. But remember, obviously, when I started this game, it was Thomas Tuchel. They've already gone through him. And Diego Simeone is under pressure. If we batter them today, Diego Simeone could get sacked in this game. That's an utter madness. Absolute madness indeed. Right, Buendia gets it to Mings. Mings to Konsa. I mean, we're just passing it around for fun at this point. We're only half an hour in and we're absolutely dominating them. Cole Palmer now looking for options. Oh, Cole Palmer. Buendia, it's out for a corner. Cole Palmer is someone I would love to hang on to if we can. I don't know whether Man City will allow us to extend his loan. And I don't know whether if we finish in a European place, do we get a bigger transfer budget? I don't know. At the moment, it says our minimum budget for next season is 25 million or something like that. We've currently still got 11 million in. So I'm hoping we do get that 25 million in. It doesn't just roll over the 11. But the problem with the transfer budget is I really don't like spending a transfer budget if it's more than what's in the bank. I really don't like it. So I want that to shift over. I want the bank to, the balance to shift over to next season to see just how much money we've actually got to spend. But as first halves go, that was exceptional. We have blown them away. I have no idea how we've done that, but I will absolutely take it. We'll just tell Douglas Luiz to calm down. Everyone's playing at least reasonably well. Ashley Young's the one who's probably not having the best of games. We'll leave him on for a few minutes, then we'll bring Matty Cash on at some point. We'll try and bring some of the players who've returned from injuries on. I think that makes the most sense to do. But what a ridiculous first half. Louise, Bailey and Watkins all getting on the score sheet. Fantastic. We're going to tell Konsa to calm down here because we don't want him to do anything silly either. Buendia whips it in. He looks for Konsa. And I thought for a second Watkins or Bailey had managed to head it in there. We have yet another chance. We're just peppering their goal, and it is a sight to see. We'll let this highlight play out, and then I think we'll make a couple of changes. And again, I'm thinking players like possibly Danny Ings, possibly Matty Cash, some of the guys who've had a couple of knocks. We'll just get them on the pitch just to get some minutes in. Of course, we don't want to take it for granted. Chelsea have got a very, very good 11. They're playing in a weird tactic. It's like a 5-4-1 diamond. What a goal that would have been from N'Golo Kante. We don't need to take this for granted because Chelsea could come back with 3 goals. We know they've got the quality to do it. We know that they have. They brought in Edin Dzeko, of all players, onto the pitch. That's an utter madness. But just take a second to look at their 11. There's some good players in there. However, for consideration, Lewis Dunk. Conor Gallagher. Good player. A lot of potential. But Conor Gallagher. Trevor Chalobah in midfield. Edin Dzeko up front. Marcus Bettinelli in goal. There's clearly been some fallings out because Mendy's on the bench, Chilwell's there, Hudson-Odoi's there. Obviously, they've brought some players off. There's players on the bench I would expect to be starting, which is utter madness. Right, substitutions before I got onto that rant. We are going to take Ashley Young off. He's gotten better, but we'll give him a bit of a rest and we'll bring Matty Cash back on so we can get back into the swing of things. Ollie Watkins has played really well, so I am a little bit beloved to take him off. I might actually take Cole Palmer off because he's got a bit of a knock. So what I'm going to do, Leon Bailey can go over to the right-hand side. And then we'll bring on Danny Ings as the forward. And we'll switch Ollie Watkins out wide. I think that makes the most sense. We'll do that. We'll make those 2 changes. And then Felipe Coutinho, not having the best of games, not having the worst of games. We'll bring John McGinn on. We'll give him a chance in the midfield. And we'll actually... I mean, who's got the better tackling out of these two? Because John McGinn's tackling's a 13. Now, we'll leave them the way that they are. And we'll see if that just shores things up a little bit. And then we'll just consider the last couple of changes as we go on. Right, Reece James now has the ball for Chelsea. Whips it in, looking for Mason Mount. Doesn't get it. Konsa heads it away. As far as Trevor Chalobah. Cucurella now looking for options. Looking to get forward. Drive past his right back, which is still Ashley Young because the substitution hasn't happened yet. And Dzeko is there. And that's why they brought Edin Dzeko on. Because they want him to be able to try and head those crosses in. Didn't work that time. Very glad about it. But they are starting to come back now, Chelsea. It's a corner. Whipped in. Looking for Jorginho. And it is just headed over. Do have to be careful here. We might slow the tempo down a little bit soon just to try and get control of the game a little bit more. They are coming back. We've got the last 10 minutes coming up. Well, we'll let this highlight go. I was going to make another substitution then, but we'll let the highlight go. Douglas Luiz gets it to Digne. Digne looking for options. Not much support, but he has got Douglas Luiz with him, who gets it all the way to Tyrone Mings. Mings now back out wide to Digne. Great pass. Watkins is in. Watkins, oh, he's looking for Digne. He's messed up there a little bit. But there is a foul, and the referee is looking at it. He's listening to the little man in his ear. It's not a penalty, but it is a free kick that we don't get a highlight of. Okay, final substitutions. Let's bring off... I think we'll bring off Douglas Luiz just because he's on a yellow card. I mean, do we do? Because we don't really have many central midfield options at the moment. I might leave him on, actually. Just because of that, I might leave him on. We might... We'll take Ezri Konsa off. We'll bring on Diego Carlos. We'll bring him on. And I think Jacob Ramsey can come on as well. Buendia's had a really good game. We'll bring Jacob Ramsey on for the last 10 minutes just to give us a bit more energy in the midfield. And let's just try and see the game out. I mean, I would say we're probably safe at this point. They have just switched to a 4-4-2, interestingly enough. So they recognised that the formation wasn't working, but I think they've done it a bit too late. Azpilicueta has switched to left-back. So unless they made another substitution, I would imagine that Cucurella is now the left midfielder. He can play there, to be fair. Right, Diego Carlos has really made a mess of that. Edin Dzeko gets in. Jorginho playing as like an attacking midfielder, which is a bit of a weird thing to see. Reece James into Mason Mount. And Digne's giving away a penalty. Again, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I do think we're home and dry here. But you never know. In football and in Football Manager, you absolutely never know. It's going to be very interesting to see. My face is very, very bright. I do apologise for that. Recording in front of a window. Right, Jorginho with the penalty. Can Martinez save? Oh, God, Chelsea's day gets bad to worse. Oh, my word. Martinez, who has saved penalties earlier in the season, saves yet another one. But they score from the corner anyway. Trevor Chalobah scores. Okay, fine. Okay, that's no problem at all. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to time waste a little bit. We won't do it too much. We're going to hold shape. We're going to bring this line down a little bit. And then we're going to drop the tempo and drop the passing. Let's just try and hold on to the ball. Try and hold on to it. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. Hold on to the ball. Hold on to possession. Not dropping the line, we're not dropping our mentality. Let's just slow everything down. Let's hang on to the ball. Let's have a lovely little time with it. And let's see the game out. Like that. Beautiful job, boys. Well done. I'm very happy with that. Very happy indeed. Utter madness. Absolute utter madness. Right, I do want to double check how we did the last time we played against Chelsea. So if we can have a look at that. There it is. Battered them 4-1. There you go. So it wasn't something random. So we drew against them over here. And I remember being disappointed at the time when that happened, actually, because I thought to myself, they are not doing very well in the league. But then we utterly trounced them in the league there. So, happy days. Right, that means we've got an FA Cup semi-final to play. And I feel like... should we play that? Do you know what? I'm making an executive decision. I'm going to play these games here. And we're going to come back for the FA Cup semi-final and see if we can get us into a final. We're going to Wembley, boys and girls. 2 games later, 2 very contrasting results. Leeds United absolutely destroyed us 2-0. Very disappointing result. But then we bounced back against Fulham with a 5-0 thrashing. Danny Ings returning to form. He's been out of action with injury. Hasn't scored since the beginning of February. And even before that, he wasn't necessarily scoring as often as we'd like him to. But he's bounced back with a hat-trick. Good to see. Very good to see. Good performance from the lads as well. Very, very happy with that. Which leaves us... again, still 5th in the Premier League. We're 1 point off of the Champions League places. West Ham just ahead of us, but we do have a game in hand, so who knows? Who knows at this point how this crazy, crazy season is going to be. Leeds United are still 3rd. Liverpool looking like it's them and Man City fighting out for the title. We've got Liverpool in our next league game, but that is not what we're concerned about. What we're concerned about is Wembley against Manchester United. That is the team we are playing in the FA Cup semi-final. God help us. This is the 11 we're going to be using to hopefully get past them. It's Martinez in goal, Cash, Mings, Diego Carlos and Digne in defence, Coutinho and Douglas Luiz in the midfield, with Parma, Buendia and Bailey supporting Watkins up front. I know that Ings scored a hat-trick in the last game, but Ollie Watkins has been so much more consistent, whereas Danny Ings shows up with a hat-trick and a couple of goals every now and then disappears for a bit. So I'd much rather start with Watkins. I feel like he's a better player to have to try and run in behind. We're going to go with that. Couple of issues. Sander Berge, obviously, as you know, cup tied, so can't play in the FA Cup. Also, Ezri Konsa is suspended for this game as well, so that's left us having to use Mings and Carlos. Preferably, I like to use Konsa and one of those two playing on the left. We're going to have to go with this today and see what happens. Hopefully, it won't be a problem. We'll find out. But let's get to Wembley, shall we? FA Cup semi-final. Let's go. Anyone who's been around with me since I first started over on Twitch before I started YouTube will know that we had really good success with Aston Villa in FM21 in our second season after qualifying for the Champions League in Season 1. Oh, Lucas Digne. We qualified for the Champions League in Season 1, and in Season 2 we actually went on as the biggest underdogs and went and won the thing. We beat Liverpool in the final. I'm going to, if I remember, put a link up there to the video because there is a video of it on the channel. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done on Football Manager. I mean, I've only been playing it for the last few years, but it was incredible. It was one of those ridiculous things. We did it live over on Twitch, and it was absolutely nuts. And I feel like winning the FA Cup in the first season would actually feel very comparable, especially considering the teams who are left in it. It's some of the bigger clubs. And, oh, Lucas Digne. Oh, not like this. Not like this. I'm going to encourage him. Oh, he's tried. He's tried. Oh, it's heartbreaking. Rashford whips it in. Sancho's there. He's got to try and do something. It's just unfortunate. Right, come on, boys. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. We're going to equalise here. Digne whips it in. Looks for Diego Carlos. And Diego Carlos equalises. And it's Digne with the assist. He redeems himself. And it is 1-1. And that's a glorious thing to see. I'm so happy for Lucas Digne. It's such an unfortunate own goal that he scored, but it's fine because he's redeemed himself. It's 1-1. We're level in the 29th minute. Game on again. Let's do it. Man United now with the highlight. Matty Cash. Oh, it's a terrible attempt at a clearance. Rashford gets on it into Shaw, and Shaw doesn't do anything. Bailey with an injury. I'm sure I saw it was a stubbed toe. I'm not being funny. If I stubbed my toe, I'd still have to do PE. I'm just putting it out there. Ronaldo makes it 2-1. Hints of offside about it. The referee is going to check, and we are going to consider taking Leon Bailey off, actually, after this. We'll see what happens. But Ronaldo apparently might have been offside. He was offside. It's 1-1 still. We get away with it. We definitely get away with it. Let's have a look. Let's see how offside he was. Oh, God, a country mile. A country mile. Cristiano, you're better than that. We are going to make a substitution. We are going to get rid of Leon Bailey. We don't want to risk anything. Do we want to bring Jeremy Bogger on? I don't know whether we do, to be honest with you. I'm actually thinking we put Coutinho out wide. We're going to bring John McGinn on, which I know is a bit of a risky thing. Do we do that? No, do you know what? John McGinn hasn't earned my trust. We're going to bring on Boubacar Kamara. We're going to do that. Bit more spice, a bit more steel in the midfield. They're completely opposite things, but you know what I mean. Someone who can do the tackling along with Douglas Luiz. I mean, so can John McGinn, but I just trust Boubacar Kamara at the moment more. Watch him concede a penalty or something stupid like that. Right, Varane gets it in. Cash, Kamara clears it. Looking for Watkins, can't quite find him. We are very much in the case of defending and lumping it forward today, which is not ideal. And it is a... Anytime anything like that happens, I'm going to be worried now. Lucas Digne still only on the 6.5. The fullbacks, to be fair, having an absolute shocking time out there because they're playing against some fantastic players. But Ollie Watkins is in here. We've got the counter-attack going, and Ollie Watkins can't get it past David De Gea. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world for a reason. He showed it there, and it is going to be a corner again. Buendia is going to take this one, whipping it in, looking for Tyrone Mings. Heads it back to Buendia. All right. Tyrone, if you want to explain yourself on that one. I don't think we worked on that on the training ground. I don't remember it. Right, United, again, swarming forward. I mean, this is going to... If we pull this off, it's going to be utterly ridiculous. Emi Martinez with it. Superb save. Absolutely superb. I'm going to encourage a couple of the boys. I mean, this feels very risky to do this while there's a highlight going on. We'll just go drop some encouragement to anyone who's on a 6.6 or lower. or we're just not going to do that. I mean, by the time I've done it, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's half time. It's 1-1. And actually, look at the match stats. We're doing very well. I'm going to praise the boys. I tell Lucas Digne to calm down. I'm going to tell Matty Cash, not good enough so far. Oh, it's demotivated him. Say that one to you. Right, is there anything we can do? Let's have a quick look at the bench. Is there anything we can do to try and stem the tide? I actually think we're going to drop Kamara back. We're going to have him do this. We've done this a few times, and it does make us feel a little bit more defensively stable. Coutinho feels like he's injured, which is a bit frustrating. He reckons he can shake it off. We're going to trust him. We're going to trust him. I'm going to see whether we can. Kamara, in fact, we'll just leave Kamara. We'll leave everything as is. We've dropped the midfielder back. Let's carry on. Let's see whether we can just sneak a goal. Let's see whether we can. He reckons he can get it through the match. The problem is, the idea of him getting through the match means he can't shake it off. Shaking it off would mean it's not actually a real knock. He's just banged himself. But that sounds like he has got a legitimate injury and he's just going to play through it. And I'd rather him not do that. And we've given away a penalty, I think. I think we've given away a penalty. It's on the line. It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. We've gotten away with it. Right, I'm going to encourage the boys. We're getting close to substitute clock. I think Coutinho is going to have to come off. He is struggling. And I think we're going to make the substitutions now. Right, what do we do? Okay, we've made changes. We are going to take off Coutinho. We've taken off Ollie Watkins and Matty Cash. Callum Chambers is coming on at right back. We're going to bring on Jeremy Bugger on the left, and we're going to bring Danny Ings on as well. And we're just going to see whether those guys can just give us a little bit more spice just to try and get something else from this game. A draw, taking it to extra time and penalties, it's a heck of an achievement for this Villa side to do that against Manchester United. But we've shown enough in this game where we could get more than a simple, like, draw against them in normal time. We can actually win this in normal time. So could they, though. I mean, their three-man defence has been imperious today. It's a bit of it's a difficult one, I've got to say, because if we get knocked out, I won't feel hard done by, but I will at the same time. It's a great Manchester United team that is in this game. But we've played well enough to deserve it. I'm going to demand... Do I demand more? I'm going to demand more. I'm demanding more. Right, Jadon Sancho. Lucas Digne does really well to intercept there. Right, Douglas gets it to Kamara. Kamara into Carlos. Over to Douglas Luiz. Buendia. He's looking for Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is in. The Manchester City loanee has just put us ahead in the FA Cup semi-final. Oh my word. What is this madness? Carlos gets it to Douglas. Douglas to Buendia. What a ball it is from Emi Buendia. He's been our player of the season, in my opinion. And Cole Palmer, the Manchester City loanee, puts us ahead. Right. Well then. Well then. Suggestions on the postcard. What do we do? Douglas Luiz is dropping back. We're having the both of them play, but further back. We're going to put him on as a deep line playmaker. And then I think... I mean, Emi Buendia's pass was sensational, but he is absolutely shattered. So I think we move him back and we take him off. And I think it's going to be John McGinn who comes on. And we'll put him as a box-to-box. So he's going to run back and forth. He's going to be that extra body. These guys are going to run in. And then we've got these two supporting the central defenders. I think that's going to be the plan. We're also going to drop this line back a little bit. We're just going to try and make everything compact here. Yeah, we're just going to kind of congest things as much as we can. Why are we going to fullbacks? We should be going centre-backs. Wow, okay, we've done really well considering that. We'll stick with that and we'll see what happens. We're just going to try and congest things. And then as time goes on, we might just try and slow the play down a little bit. Right, we are on a highlight. United on the attack. Ericsson now, looking to get the ball forward. Oh, John McGinn. What a tackle that is from big John McGinn. Digne now, looking for Jeremy Bogger. Bogger gets past his men. Jeremy Bogger bursting forward. He goes for the shot and puts it over. Jeremy Bogger. He's looking better. He was having a shocking time at the start of the season, but he is starting to look better. Right, we are time wasting. We are disciplined. We are holding our shape. We are slowing the pace down. We are slowing the tempo down. We are slowing our passing down. We are not passing in space. We are keeping the ball. And we're going to cross forward a little bit early if we can. United have a corner in the 92nd minute. And we clear it. And John McGinn is on the ball. Just run with it, John. Just run with it. Actually, no, pass it. There's a good pass. Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, can he whip it in? He goes back to Digne. We're wasting time. I love it. Right, John McGinn into Jeremy Boga. Jeremy Boga, who has had a terrible, terrible half a season since he joined us, has just made it 3-1. Ah! What? What? And John McGinn with the assist as well. It's 3-1 Villa in injury time. We're coming back to Wembley for the final. Oh my word. Oh my word. That disallowed goal from Ronaldo, a massive turning point. We turn up at the end of the game. And it's the former Chelsea man and the Manchester City loanee who have done the job for us. Well played, boys. Well played indeed. That is exceptional. And we're in an FA Cup final in the first season. There's just something about me in cup finals in first seasons, or winning trophies, or challenging for trophies in first seasons. Leon Bailey's injured. I don't really care about that at this moment in time. It's probably going to mean he's missing the Liverpool game with a stubbed toe. But we're in the FA Cup final against Leicester or Man City. I think I know who I'd rather that. If I'm honest, I think I know who I'd rather that. Right, when is that next game? Is that today, or is that, when is it? 17th. Right. Do you know what? We're going to accelerate forward. We're going to see who we're going to be playing in the FA Cup final in the final episode of this Jesus Christ. Final episode of this season, we're going to play the final game of the season in the league and the FA Cup final. That is what we're going to do. So, give me a minute. I'm going to go forward and we're going to find out who we're going to play. Well, look at this ridiculousness. 2-2, went to penalties. And it's Manchester City who make it through past Leicester. So if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the hard way. Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish with the goals for Manchester City. Harvey Barnes and James Maddison with the goals for Leicester. Every penalty scored until Luke Thomas missed the final penalty. Wow. Wow. Incredible stuff. So it is going to be, just to confirm, Aston Villa versus Manchester City in the FA Cup final, and that will be the final episode of this season. It will be the final episode in the final game in the next episode, and the final game of the season. My word. Good to see Ezri Konsa, one of the best players in this competition, apparently. That shows that our defence has been absolutely fantastic. Right, we will be back for, as I mentioned, the final game of the season, which is going to be against Southampton at Villa Park. Oh no, the FA Cup final's before it. I thought the FA Cup final was... Oh, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I thought the FA Cup final would be after the season's finished, but apparently not. So we'll play the FA Cup final first, and then we'll play the final game of the season against Southampton just to wrap things up. I don't know about you. I'm exhausted after that. What an episode. What an absolutely ridiculous episode. Right. I'll see you next time for the FA Cup final. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any lovely FA content like you've seen today from yours truly, like us getting to an FA Cup final ridiculously in our first season. I've been Stubo, you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you for the FA Cup final. Cheers.